Part 9. Now this part is to do with the rudder. The rudder is pretty much self-explanatory, but they give you two choices. You can do the laminated, which is this one, or you can do the built-up one. I've decided to go for the built-up one, and the reason I've gone for the built-up one is the laminated will take hours to do because you have to soak the wood to make it bend, and I'm not prepared to put those many hours into a rudder that I can build relatively easily. The reason they give you this choice is first it better represents the real thing, but also it's slightly lighter, but it's so marginally lighter that I don't think it's worth the effort. You know, probably another couple of reasons, but you know, I'm going with this. I'm going with this. Now, you'll note here that there are a couple of hinges, and they go into the back of the fuselage. Now, in the instructions, they call this a tube. I think it's a tube. They think they call it a tube, but it's not a tube. It's a rod. So I went looking through all the bits and pieces looking for a tube that wasn't there. It's a rod. It's not hollow at all, and if it is, I can't see it. So anyway, this slots in. I hope you can see this okay. This slots in like this. Now they will tell you in the instructions at least twice to take this out, glue parts and put it back in. I didn't bother doing that because what I did was I used Vaseline. So you put Vaseline on it, there's no way you can glue that to anything. So that allowed me to leave that rod in place while I was gluing things in without any problems whatsoever. So I was a little bit surprised they asked you to take it in and out. Maybe they just hadn't thought of that. I don't know. That's what I did. I used Vaseline. Very simple. These are what, 50p or something, 20 grams. But you can use anything. You can use butter or margarine if you wanted to. But Vaseline's my weapon of choice, and it does go together quite easily. You know, there's enough information on the plan for you to use the plan without the instructions at all if you wanted to. But obviously, I followed the plan and the instructions because I said that I would. But you know, there's too many instructions per se, and if I read them out, it would sound more complicated than actually what it is. So that's the rudder. It's done. That's what it looks like. Here are the drawings. It tells you all the numbers, and it really is that easy. And here's the laminated version, and there is the built-up version, and it's come out absolutely flat. There's no warps in that at all. You might get a warp in it once you start covering it, but that's just down to practice at the end of the day. So anyway, for as long as that rod can move freely in and out like that, then you'll be absolutely fine. And as I said before, don't forget that one of these hinges are going to go on here, so there's 3 of these in total, and it goes on the end there. Okay, so that's got full movement. The rod's got full movement. That's flat. Don't overtly sand it, but make sure that when you do the outside here that you get all that brown off, because if you don't, the film wrinkles on it. So make sure you get all the brown burnt off. Okay, so it's nice and clean. You know, this stuff here you can see on the side, and the skin will go on nicely onto that. So now we're going to move swiftly onto the tail plane and the elevators, and again their instructions are a little bit complicated, probably too complicated, but what I'm going to do is I am going to read those instructions twice and then cut all the parts out and then run through it. Okay, so moving swiftly onto the tail plane and elevators. Now, tailplane construction. Locate, remove parts T1 to T6 from sheet 11. Dry assemble and pin the parts to the plan on sheet 2. So you have to go to the other sheet now. So you've come off the one you've been working on. You now going to the one with all the wing drawings on it. Okay, although there is a drawing for the tailplane on there. Okay, and let's see, cut to length, bevel the tailplane ribs where required from 3/32 square strip from sheet 11 and pin them into place. So it seems that most of this stuff is on sheet 11, if not all of it. Check that the tail plane is square and accurate to the plan before wicking CA into all the joints. When the glue has set, stick some thin, clear, sticky tape along the rear and the short sides of the tailplane. So this is what they're looking for. They want you to get all the parts out, pin it to the plan, okay, and then it'll all come clear, because I have dry assembled the elevators to indicate and show what is required, because the tailplane, yeah, is this part here and the elevator here, so they have this pointy bit here on the end which moves independently of this. So if you're not used to the tailplane or know what it's all about, this is what it's all about. So the elevators have this part here, and that's why this looks like a jet plane, if you like. Okay, now you dry put it together. It's just, none of this is glued yet, and make sure it all fits. Then you take the stringers. This one here needs to be glued into place there, and you offer them up, cut them to shape and sand them to make them fit, and these add strength and support. This one is just being naughty at the moment, and make sure it's all pinned down and everything's there, and then wick it in, which is basically all you've got to do is get your glue and just go in all the different places. It only takes a minute or so, and then let it go off. Okay, and then what they're asking you to do then is to put sellotape around these edges here and here along the back here. Okay, because they want you to put the elevators into place and then wick them in, but obviously you don't want that to stick to that, and that's why they're asking you about the sellotape. Now there was one thing I was going to mention here and I've forgotten what it is because I'm getting old. Yes, I remember now. You have got to put little tabs in here, here, here and here as a hinge which they supply. I suggest that you mark them and use a sharp knife to make a slit ready for that, because it's just easy to handle, you know, when it's just in a line like this rather than a built-up unit. You're less likely to break this. So that's what I've done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around this, wick it all in. Let's see if the glue will come out. So let's start in the middle. Why not? Just go along here with my glue. And what I tend to do, if I think is a bit blobby, I'll just run my finger down it, like this, like that. Now if you get a load of glue on your fingers, which I generally do, I just get some glass paper and just rub it like that. This is what thieves allegedly used to do, so people couldn't get the fingerprints. So there you are, you've learned something new today. And of course I'm going to do this part here and let that dry while I hold it. Yeah, and I'll just hold that with my little finger and carry on with the rest of it. So make sure you get every part, wick it in, yeah, and just try and be consistent and uniform, so you know where you've been there, been there. So it's still movable. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. That's supposed to go around there like that. There you go. So that's me not concentrating enough. There you go. That's in the right place. That one just held there. That's gone off now. Goes off quite quickly. Try not to stick your fingers to the wood if you can help it. And fill that gap and then push it to. So you're always, you know, with wood, you're always going to have some movement. So you just need to be prepared to hold something down, or, you know, just for a few seconds to let the glue go off. This is not uncommon. Although this kit, generally with the Vintage Model Company, they are exact fits. You're always going to get some sort of tolerance. Doesn't matter how good you are in manufacture. So that's starting to take now, so I'm going to let go of that. And then I'll fill that gap. There you go, like that. And then hold it to, rub my finger over it. And you just carry on, you know, go around it, wipe it off. You don't want that excess glue on there. It becomes quite hard, you know. You don't want to be sanding this all off. So while it's still in a liquid state, just rub it off with your fingers. It's easier to get off your fingers than it is off the wood. And just carry on going around. I can see the end of this needs trimming off a little bit, which I will do right now. There you go. So, you know, if you push it, you'll see a little bit of give, and that's okay. You need a little bit of give anyway, as in all things. Just trim the end of that off a little bit. There you go. Easy enough. Hang on. There you go, that's even better. Lay it against something harder. Just not your fingers. And just carry on going around. That's better. It's coming out better now. There you go. We're nearly there. Nearly done. Doesn't matter if you go around it twice. In fact, what I'll probably do, let all this go off, and then go around it one more time. There you are. So we'll let that go off, and then give it a light sanding. Well, no, what we'll do is we'll offer the elevators up and we'll wick those together, and then it'll all become quite obvious then what's what. We have got to bend the tube. There's the tube that we used earlier, the aluminium one. Elevator joiners stick to elevators with epoxy glue. Bend elevator joiner from 2mm OD aluminium tube. Right, I'm going to mark this out when this is complete and off the board, because you don't want to be marking things out while this is in position. Now, I'm a bit surprised they want to use that tube, because if you bend a tube, you get a kink in it. So I might have to try and find something to shove down the middle of that tube to stop it from kinking. Kinking in a tube is undesirable. But anyway, we'll let that go off, and then we'll come to the elevators. So here we go then. So here's the elevators in position. Actually, I thought they would fit a little bit better, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So they're all pinned down. The sellotape is in. There you go, like that. And we're going to wick that in. And then we're going to let it set. So again, it's just more boring stuff, just wicking in. Probably need a little bit there as well. There you go. And there. Okay. Around there. Don't forget your infills. There you are. There you go. And what am I using here? I think it's a medium. Yeah, I'm using a medium. The thin stuff for me is just that little bit too thin. It's literally like water, and it just runs everywhere. I think I put some in there already, but if it doesn't matter if I have. There you go. So that obviously needs to be a strong joint. And then we just, when the pins come out, I mean obviously I will go over this again, because the pins will get in the way somewhere or another. There you go. There you go. In fact, you do need, in woodworking terms, you do need some gaps, because that's what you fill in with the glue. So if it's too exact and too tight, the glue's not going to get in. Can if it's water. Something's just occurred to me, and I'm just speaking out loud. You know when I mentioned this guy was a troll, and it occurred to me his name was Chris. It suddenly occurred to me that the designer of this is C.R. Long. I wonder if that's Chris, the guy who drew it. I wonder. That's curious. Yeah, wouldn't that be a turn up for the books? Anyway, if it is, it gives you insight into the mind of that person. As I said, I just want, you can criticise as much as you like, just be polite about it. You know, you don't walk up to people in the street and say you are an idiot and you don't even know them. Just go, I think you need to modify your behaviour, or something like that. Or I would suggest, my humble opinion. The other thing is about opinions, everybody's got one. And I'm always up for a good debate. And I'll listen to somebody, you know, they'll go on about something. They go, okay, well, what's your answer? What's your solution? And if they got one, I will listen to it. Have an open mind. If they haven't got an answer or a solution, then it's just something they don't like, you know. But, you know, calling people names, it's, so they've got glue on my finger, so do that. Soon comes off. Put some of my skin on the glass paper. Anyway, there you go. There you are. So we'll let that go off, and then I will unpin everything. I'll have to pin this back again because I need to put this aluminium tube in. But I've got to discover a way of filling it with something pliable so the bend will be even, because if it's a tube it'll sort of fracture it and it will lose its integrity. I would sooner use a solid piece, if I'm being honest with you. If I can find a solid piece, I'd rather use that, because a solid piece will take it. But anyway, we'll see. We'll let that go off, and I'll see if I can see what I can do with this tube. Okay, so as you can see, I've removed this part here. There you go. And pinned back the elevators. Now, I did find the 2mm tube, and I did manage to bend it. Actually, it isn't too bad. Yeah, it's kind of flattened out in the bends and stuff, but it has actually bent okay, so I'm happy to use it. I did consider going out and buying some 2mm rod, but it seems to be okay. So I've just put the two-part epoxy in. I've pinned it down. I'm just going to leave it now for half an hour or so, then just crack on with sanding it down and prepping it ready for when it comes to putting the skin on. So yeah, that's that bit there. The next part, according to the instructions, oh yeah, by the way, just say to use some abrasive substance to scratch the this bit here, the tube, to help it to adhere. Now it says to stick the elevator, join it into place using two-part epoxy and add to fully set. So the next part is the wings. and I'm looking forward to doing the wings. I've got a feeling I might regret that, but anyway, there you go. So I think that sort of ends there, really. What I might do is pop the hinges into here, these 4 positions, make sure it's all sanded off ready for the covering, and then I can set it to one side, and then we can crack on even with the wings, which is, you know, probably the best part, because the wings are what give you the lift. You know, it's not a fizzy drink. it's the real McCoy. So let's get this done. I'll put the hinges in, sand it all down, ready for covering. I'll set that for the 3rd time, and we will then get on with the wings in part 10, which I'm highly looking forward to. And okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the bank holiday weekend with the Queen's Jubilee. And for those without a Queen, well, you know, tough titty. So there you go. Royal Britannia. Cheerio. Bye.